All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're exploring a seriously fascinating new curriculum that is completely transforming how schools teach youth safety and accountability. We're going to be unpacking the foundational lesson guide for the Grade 8 Safe Learners program. And you know what jumps out immediately in this source material is that it entirely shifts the narrative. It moves completely away from just handing kids a rigid list of rules, and instead, it treats safety as a culture that the students themselves actually have to build.
So think about it. How do you actually teach safety to an 8th grader without just resorting to scare tactics? It's a huge question, and really, it's the perfect hook for our explainer today. I mean, traditional school discipline, it usually revolves around this heavy system of penalties, detentions, and, let's be honest, fear. But the material we are looking at today completely rewrites that rulebook. It asks educators to take a step back and really rethink the core motivation behind why students behave the way they do. Ultimately, how do we get them to make the right choices when the teacher isn't hovering right over their shoulder?
Let's start with Section 1, the Grade 8 transition.
The teacher background notes explicitly highlight a few key characteristics of these learners. 8th graders are literally at this massive crossroads, right? They're starting to test boundaries, their friends' opinions suddenly mean absolutely everything to them, and they are finally at an age where their choices have real, lasting consequences. The curriculum totally gets that you can't just dictate rules to a 13-year-old anymore and expect it to work. You have to guide them on how to actually think for themselves. Because as they develop all this new independence, their maturity really has to be matched with greater responsibility.
Moving on to Section 2, Prevention over Fear.
This is where the philosophy of the whole thing really shines. The program explicitly tells teachers, right in the opening routine, that this is not about fighting or creating a culture of fear. Instead, they pivot to a prevention and responsibility model. It's all about preventing harm through responsible citizenship way before a situation ever has the chance to escalate. It basically frames safety not as a fortress that you have to aggressively defend, but more like a shared environment of self-discipline, awareness, and mutual respect that you have to cultivate every single day.
Which brings us to Section 3, Anatomy of a Safe Choice.
To really see how this works in practice, we have to look at this core scenario the curriculum uses called the hallway incident. Picture this. A younger student drops their books. A group blocks the hall, laughing at them, and then someone snaps an embarrassing photo to post online. The brilliant thing here is how multi-layered and relatable this is. It captures both the in-person peer pressure, the laughing kids blocking the physical hallway, and the digital bystander apathy with the photo. It's the exact kind of complex, dual-threat social dynamic that modern students are navigating every single day. Some kids think it's just a joke, others feel gross about it but stay totally silent. It's a very real snapshot of middle school life.
So how does the curriculum teach kids to resolve this? Well, it breaks down the intervention into 5 highly actionable steps. And notice, it's not just one superhero swooping in to save the day. It's actually a distributed, coordinated response from a whole group of peers. Luna stops the momentum. Era steps in to help with the physical mess. Tala sets the social boundary. Ben handles the digital threat by calmly asking for the photo to be deleted. And Miguel follows official protocol. Seeing peer intervention broken down this systematically is honestly a total game changer. It shows kids exactly what real-time accountability looks like.
The curriculum's mascot, Captain Safe, actually has an anchor quote that perfectly sums this up. Prevention begins when you choose respect, accountability, and courage, even in small moments. The whole goal here is for learners to realize that safety isn't just about avoiding physical danger, like, doing a fire drill or locking the doors. It's about actively protecting people's dignity and relationships. It's realizing that those tiny micro-decisions, like choosing not to laugh or choosing to speak up about a photo, those are the literal building blocks of a safe community.
And the way the classroom discussion is structured around this story is super intentional. The teacher doesn't just deliver a monologue. They use specific prompts to guide students to articulate exactly why those choices matter. By getting the kids to supply the expected responses out loud, the students are actually the ones voicing the importance of prevention. They are literally convincing themselves and each other that avoiding harm and protecting relationships is the smart, mature route to take.
Let's look at Section 4, Mapping School Safety.
The lesson takes theory into practice with this really cool guided activity. Learners break into groups and draw a physical map of their common spaces to identify potential risks and write down preventative actions. But here's the kicker. The curriculum explicitly includes the online class group chat right alongside physical spaces like the canteen and the hallway. It makes safety a proactive map that they navigate daily, reinforcing that the digital space is just as real and requires just as much responsible behavior as the actual school grounds.
Finally, we have Section 5, Taking the Safe Challenge.
The program wraps up by establishing a daily standard for the students, giving them a menu of what I like to call micro-habits. They're challenged to practice at least one preventative action immediately. It significantly lowers the barrier to entry so that absolutely every student can contribute, no matter their personality. Whether it's just quietly choosing not to forward a mean text or actively inviting someone to sit with them at lunch, they are practicing safety in real time.
And of course, building a safe environment doesn't magically stop at the school gate. The source material features a dedicated home connection component, which emphasizes that this requires active reinforcement from parents and guardians too. Good citizenship is a holistic effort, right? If the concepts of accountability and respect are being echoed at the dinner table at home, they are way more likely to actually stick in the middle school hallway.
So, I want to leave you with a reflection question taken straight from the teacher's guide. It asks, what responsible learner behaviors need further reinforcement? It's a great reminder for all of us that building a safe community isn't just a one-and-done assembly or lecture. It is a constant, evolving practice. As these kids grow and face entirely new social pressures, their ability to make a safe choice is going to be tested over and over. So, what behaviors do you think are the hardest for young learners to master today? And more importantly, how can we better support them in making those choices? Definitely something to chew on as we think about shaping the next generation. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.